All right, guys. Now it's time to read. We are getting ready to get the tea. What happened with Esmeralda? Remember, we're reading the story closely. That's when we say closely, that's why we're annotating. That's why we're underlining. That's why we're highlighting. We're writing summaries on the side. That's helping us to read the story closely so that we can determine if there are text to self connections, if there are text to text connections, and now if there are text to world connections. Understanding these connections help us to comprehend what we're reading completely. Okay? All right, so let's get to it and figure out what Esmeralda got going on. So, a few days later, you don't see this. Let me go ahead and clear the screen for you. When I Was Puerto Rican by Esmeralda Santiago. Day 2 of our excerpt. We already understood that Esmeralda does not like people and that Mr. Barron told her that she's going to call back to the office later on when she gets her life together and figure out what she wants to be when she grow up. We already know that Yolanda, her friend, seems to be a little bit upset because Esmeralda said that she doesn't like people. And we already know Esmeralda was really petty and she was like, well, if it's going to make me change who I am, then I prefer to be who I am over friendship or companionship. That's what she said at the end of the story from yesterday. Let's see what they're talking about today. All right. So a few days later, Mr. Barron called me back to his office. Well, tiny green flecks burned around the black pupils of his hazel eyes. The night before, Mommy had called us into the living room. On the television, 50 of America's most beautiful girls paraded in ruffled tulle dresses before a tinsel waterfall. Aren't they lovely? Mommy murmured, as the girls, escorted by boys in uniform, floated by the camera, swirled, and disappeared behind a screen to the strings of a waltz and an announcer's dramatic voice calling their names, ages, and states. Mommy sat mesmerized through the whole pageant. All right. So, getting down to our criteria for success, I will underline those nouns, those people, places, and things that help us to build our background knowledge. Mr. Barron, we're going to underline him again. That's a noun, it's a person. His office, also a noun, it's a place. The night before, helping us to build background knowledge, what happened last night. Mommy, again, a noun. The living room is also a noun, it's a place. And those are the things that I want to underline right here in this excerpt. Of course, you can also highlight, underline America, and that won't be completely wrong. You could also underline the boys in uniform. You could also underline the announcers, the announcer. We know that's a person. We know that there's the girls are person. But if you would have just the top three up here, you'll still been right. Okay? We underline those things to help us build background knowledge. Now we're going to highlight in yellow those things that jump out at us and help us to make connections. Okay? So the first thing that jump out at me when I look at this is 50 of America's most beautiful girls paraded in ruffled tulle dresses before a tinsel waterfall. And he's like, Miss McCoy, why does that jump out to you? I think the first thing I think of when I see that is the Miss America pageant. I know from my experience that Miss America pageant has 50 women or 50 girls or women from each representing their state. And we look down here, it says voice calling their names, ages, and states. And we can even highlight that portion because that helps build a connection for me. That's how I know that it has to be the Miss America pageant, and that's how I know that it's a text the world connection because I have not experienced a pageant myself personally. Okay, I've never been in one, so it's not a text to self connection. I can't think of a story right now or piece of text where I read about it. Not right now, but I can make a text to world connection because Miss America pageant is a world event. People from all over the world, not just America, take the time and sit in their living room just like mommy did with her daughters or with her children. And because I'm not sure if it's more than one daughter, because right now all we know is Esmeralda, and had them all to come and watch this event. And that happens all over the world every year or every time the Miss America pageant is on. So that is my thing that jumped out at me there. The another thing that jumped out at me is the fact that mommy sat mesmerized through the whole event. And again, for me, the whole world is mesmerized when Miss America pageant comes on. It seems like it is everybody is tuned in. You can't call nobody, you can't text them because they're not going to answer because they are watching the Miss America pageant and they want to know who's going to be called Miss America. So, next thing I'm going to do is create my gist, write my gist or my summary of what this is. Simply put, I'm going to say Esmeralda was called back to Mr. Barron's office to discuss her future because that is the only thing he could possibly be calling her for. So I'm making a speculation, but it's very much an educated guess because we remembered from yesterday that Mr. Barron said, what did he say? I'm going to call you back to my office after you figure out what you want to be when you grow up. I summarized what he said, but that's basically what he said. So that is what this passage is about. There is also about Esmeralda watching the pageant on TV before. So I can add that. Esmeralda watched the pageant on television the night before. All right. It's a little over 10 words, but this is the idea of summarizing this little portion of the text. The next thing you want to do is I said I had a text to world connection. Everyone watches okay, let's not say everyone. Let's say the entire world watch the Miss America pageant every year. It's a world event. I can also say something like I wanted to be in the pageant or I could say something like I sat like mommy. Sit mesmerized when I watch pageants. That's a text to self connection. And if you have those text to self connections, you're welcome to add this here. But the idea is that we're going to talk about text to world. Like I said, text to self, add it. If you see a connection within yourself, your personal experience of what's going on in text, please, please, please add it. The guiding question: what did Esmeralda see on the television? And we basically just wrote that Esmeralda saw a beauty pageant because we know that the Miss America pageant is a beauty pageant on television. And now we've answered that question. I'm just going to add a couple of words just so it's because it's not grammatically correct. I'm sorry, the night before. But you don't have to put the night before. I would understand it. But it's a good practice to do so that you can practice being grammatically correct. All right. So let's figure out what's going on. Why was that relevant? I'd like to be a model, I said to Mr. Barron. He stared at me, pulled his glasses down from his forehead, looked at the papers inside the folder with my name on it, and glared. A model? His voice was gruff, as if he were more comfortable yelling at people than talking to them. OMG, what is going down? Let's get our annotations out the way so we can get into the connections that we're having here, because I see some connections. Mr. Barron, we know we have to underline him. We also know that we have to underline model. We know that a model is something that needs to be underlined. Now, let's do some highlighting of what connections we see made. The first connection I see is I'd like to be a model. I know people who wants to be a model. I have a sister that wants to be a model. In fact, when I was younger, I used to want to be a model. So that's a text to self connection for me. And then I see a model. His gruff voice was as if he were more comfortable yelling at people than talking to him. This is an automatic connection for me because I feel like Mr. Barron is being petty. He's being judgy. We already discovered from yesterday that he's a little bit judgy, at least so far. And so the way that he answered after she gave her answer, the way he questioned her after she gave her answer seemed to me like he doesn't approve of her being a model. And so I know in my life that there's plenty of people who have not approved for certain things that I decide I want to do with my life. So that's another text to self connection. I can say for text or I can't think of a text to text connection aside from stories that I've read that I can't name right now, but text to word connection. I know there is a lot of judgy people in this world that don't think that you should be whatever you want to be. You probably know exactly who I'm talking about. People who don't even know you. People who judge you by the color of your skin and not the content of your character. People who judge you by your culture. People who judge you by whatever means that is not necessary. Okay? So Mr. Barron here is really touching a little area, as you can see, that is really sensitive to me. So I definitely made a connection with what he just said. So the next thing I want to do is I want to put inside the box next to our paragraph, I want to put in my gist or my summary. Simply put, in this, what's going on here is Esmeralda tells Mr. Barron or her guidance counselor that she wants to be a model. That's what's happening right here in that paragraph. Now, text to self, text to world connection. You can choose to put something here or you could not. I'm going to say text the world. People tend to judge others and have a have opinions about their decisions. That's my text the world. People in the world tend to judge others, other people, and have opinions about their decisions. And right now, that is what Mr. Barron's doing, and that is happening in the world every day. It is a fact. It is not an opinion. It is definitely a fact. It is a fact that people have opinions about other people's decisions that they decide they're gonna make. Okay? So I put that for my text the world. The guiding question is, oh, and I want to go in on Mr. Barron. What did Esmeralda decide she wanted to be when she grew up? And what was Mr. Barron's reaction? Mm-mm-mm. Okay, we know Esmeralda decided that she wants to be a model, right? Period. No, literally, you put a period there. I forgot the A. Okay. Mr. Barron. Oh, Mr. Barron. We already discovered he don't have no hairline. He got these big old glasses. He wear brown and yellow. He has no reason to be judging somebody. But Mr. Barron, hmm, Mr. Barron was surprised and seemingly upset or annoyed by Esmeralda's decision. How did I come to that conclusion? That's why I highlighted his voice was gruff, as if he were more comfortable yelling at people than talking to them. Because he's probably said it like this, a model probably was loud and his voice was all scruffy. And so he was surprised, but he was also a little bit upset by what she said. Moving on. One more before I release you, Falcons, so that you can fly high and be great. She says, I want to be on television. Oh, then you want to be an actress? In a tone that said there was only a slight improvement over my first career choice. We stared at one another for a few seconds. He pushed his glasses up to his forehead again and reached for a book on the shelf in back of him. I only know of one school that trains actresses, but we've never sent them on a student from here. All right. So, first thing first, what are we doing? We're looking for things that we need to underline. Okay? So, we look at the thing. Oh, then you want to be an actress. Actress, that is a noun. We're going to underline it. We're going to underline first career choice. We're going to underline, that's helping us to build background knowledge. Okay? She had a first, that means she had a first career choice, that means she had a second career choice. I'm going to underline the school. So now we know that we're talking about sending her to another school. Okay. That's building our background knowledge. Now I'm going to highlight those things that stand out to me. Okay. I want to be on television. Ooh, where did we see that come from? We saw when we first started reading this selection that mommy called all Esmeralda and her family into the living room so they can watch the pageant, the Miss America pageant on television. We saw that. And so we also saw that mommy was mesmerized by the whole pageant, right? So the idea of being a model and being on television seemed like it stemmed from or came from watching TV last night for Esmeralda. So for me, that automatically jumps out because I think I shared with you guys, I wanted to be on television when I grew up. I thought about being a journalist, a television journalist, a broadcast journalist. So that stands out to me. What else stands out to me on this page? I only know of one school that trains actresses, but we've never sent them a student from here. So I'm thinking now, okay, like I said, when we underline school, this look like it's a turning point getting ready to happen for me. It stands out because it's like, well, now she just got to this school. Now she may have to go to another school, but this school seems like it's going to be something specifically geared towards what she wants to do. And it also stands out to me because the school that she's at has never sent anyone to that school before, which is very interesting. It's just like saying from Davis Knife that you've never seen as a graduate of Davis Knife, you don't go to Davis High School, and then or you do go to you normally go to Davis High School, but because you have a different career choice, you may end up going to Aldine. But if Davis Knife has never sent anybody to Aldine High School before, that would be a very interesting phenomenon. Okay? All right. So let's write our gist. And so we're going to just say Mr. Barron suggests that Esmeralda wants to be an actress. So even though she said she wanted to be a model, because she said she wanted to be on television, he says, okay, yeah, that means you want to be on TV, you want to be an actress. Not, he's pretty much telling her what he think that she's saying to him. For this, again, just to show you that you don't always have a connection to every single paragraph. I'm not going to put anything for text to world because we didn't really talk about text to world connections when we highlighted our yellow spots. We talked about text to self connections, which I said you can put that in there if you would like. It's very much optional, but because there's no text to world connection, you don't have to put anything. So there are going to be some spaces where you aren't going to have a text to world or text to anything or text connection to the whatever you're reading, and that's okay. Okay? The idea is for you to practice engaging in the text and understanding that there are connections that you can make. Okay? The guiding question, our final guiding question before I release you is, why do you think Esmeralda has to go to another school to be an actress? Okay. So we already knew that she just got to this school. She just started a new school, ninth grade school. And now that Mr. Barron is talking about sending her to another school. So the question is, why would she need to go somewhere else? And it's just like we were talking about when I said Davis and Aldine. If there is a program at Aldine that isn't at Davis, then of course I will have to go to Aldine instead of Davis High School. So that's what I think about when I'm reading this question. So to answer it in the most simplest form, I will put the school that she attends may not have an acting program. Stating the absolute obvious. If Mr. Barron is telling her you have to go to another school, it's obvious that the reason why she has to go to another school is because they don't have the program there at the school that she's in. Okay? So, what are you doing? You are going to make sure you have your keynotes because we did that together. And you are going to complete lines 34 all the way to line 56. You're going to make sure that you underline your nouns. That's the people, places, things that builds background knowledge. You're going to highlight those things that make connections, whether it's text to self, or text to world. You are going to write a 10-word gist. That's how short 10 words is. You're going to write a 10-word gist or summary about each section of the text. You're going to make a text connection, if you can, and write it in the same box under your summary. You are going to answer the guiding question in one complete sentence. You can use more than one if you need to, but it needs to be at least one complete sentence. Okay? Read the rest of the story and complete the annotations, the gist, that's including the gist and the essential questions. And then after that, you're going to do the exit ticket. Okay? Where's the exit ticket, Miss McCoy? The exit ticket is going to be located right after, probably after this, the handout. It's just going all over the place right now. Week 1, week 4, day 4. And the exit ticket, like I said, is right after when I was a Puerto Rican continue. Okay? Click it. I believe it's about 4 questions, maybe 5. And then you will be done with your day 4 activities. Hashtag Mama, we made it. Now, in the meantime, in between time, go be great. Bye.